The night Emily Walker showed up at my door. She was holding a gun in one hand and a wedding ring in the other. I didn't know which one scared me more. It was past midnight. Rain was drowning my Oklahoma farmhouse, and I had just finished burying the last calf I couldn't save. My hands were still bleeding. My heart was still numb. Then the pounding started, frantic, desperate, the kind of knocking that comes from someone who has run out of options. I opened the door to a woman I barely recognized. Emily Walker was soaked through, her blonde hair plastered to her skull, her father's old revolver trembling in her right fist. The left hand held a small velvet box. "Grant is coming for me," she said, breathless. "And I need you to marry me before sunrise." I stared at the gun. "You planning to shoot me if I say no?" She looked down at her hand like she'd forgotten she was armed. Then she laughed, a broken, hysterical sound that cut through the rain. "No. This is for him. The ring is for you." I pulled her inside. The story hit me in pieces. Her father, David Walker, had died 2 weeks ago. Cancer. Fast and mean. The whole county showed up for the funeral, but nobody stayed for the will reading. That's where the bomb went off. David had added a clause. A sick, desperate, old-fashioned clause. Emily would only inherit full control of the 1,000-acre Walker Ranch if she was married by midnight Friday. Otherwise, everything went to her cousin Grant. A developer with a new truck, old grudges, and a buyer already lined up to turn the pasture into strip malls. "Your father wanted you protected," I said. "My father wanted me tethered," she snapped. "He didn't trust me to run it alone." And maybe he was right. Her voice cracked. "Grant has already fired the foreman. He changed the locks on the main house tonight. I'm sleeping in my truck, Jake. I have nothing left." I looked around my own kitchen. The unpaid bills. The empty fridge. The hole in the wall I'd been meaning to fix for 3 years. I was a 40-year-old failure on a dying farm. What could I offer her? "Why me?" I asked. She set the revolver on the table. Then she set the ring box beside it. "Because you're the only person in this county who hates losing land more than he fears being broke." That hook sank straight into my ribs. I should have said no. But I thought about Grant Walker. 2 years ago, he tried to buy my place for 1/4 of its value. When I refused, he'd laughed. "You'll be begging me to take it inside a year, Harper." He wasn't wrong about the year. He was wrong about the begging. "One condition," I said. Emily straightened. "Anything." "No lies." I stepped closer to her. "To the outside, we are the happiest, most lovesick fools in Oklahoma. But between us? This is a deal. You don't pretend to love me, and I don't pretend to be a hero. The second the ink dries and the farm is safe, we walk away clean." She held out her hand. "Deal." I didn't shake it. "You're forgetting something." "What?" I took the ring box. Opened it. A simple gold band, her mother's, worn smooth by time. I slid it onto her shaking finger. "If we're doing this," I said, "we do it right. Grant will tear that marriage license apart looking for cracks. He can't find one." Emily stared at the ring on her hand. For the first time all night, tears spilled down her cheeks. Not from fear, but from something that looked dangerously like hope. "Tomorrow morning," she whispered. "Courthouse. 8 o'clock." 8 o'clock, I agreed. We didn't sleep. We sat at my kitchen table until dawn, her drinking my bad coffee, me watching the rain let up. She told me about her father's last days. I told her about my mother's death. 2 orphans trading grief like poker chips, building a story we could sell to the world. At 7:55 a.m., we walked into the county courthouse. Grant was already there. He stood by the doors in an expensive coat, flanked by 2 lawyers. His smile was polished, vicious, and utterly confident. "Emily," he said, "I heard you were desperate. But this." He looked at me like I was a pile of manure on his shoe. "This is pathetic." Emily didn't flinch. "Move, Grant. Your father's will requires a genuine marriage. Everyone here knows you grabbed the nearest broke farmer out of panic. I'll have this annulled before the reception." I stepped forward. "What reception?" Grant blinked. "We're not having one," I said. "Emily and I are going straight from the courthouse to the Walker Ranch. To check on our cattle. On our land. You're welcome to watch from the road." His face went red. You think a piece of paper scares me? I think 1,000 acres and a woman who knows how to fight scares you plenty. I took Emily's hand. Her fingers were cold, but they gripped mine like iron. The judge was old. The ceremony was short. No flowers. No music. Just two shattered people speaking words that felt too big for the room. I do, Emily said, looking at me. I do, I said, looking back. And in that moment, something shifted. The deal didn't feel like a deal anymore. It felt like the first honest thing I'd done in years. Grant stormed out before the ink dried. His lawyers followed, whispering about appeals and investigations. Let them come. Emily turned to me in the empty hallway. The rain had stopped. Sunlight broke through the clouds, lighting up the gold band on her finger. It worked, she breathed. No, I said, pulling her closer. It started. She looked up at me, confused. The deal was just until the farm was safe. The farm was never the point. I touched her cheek. You were. For a long moment, she just stared at me. Then she smiled, not the terrified smile from last night, but something real, something fierce. Then I guess, she said softly, we'd better go save our land. We walked out together, hand in hand. Two broken people. One impossible promise. And Grant Walker, watching from his truck, finally looked afraid.